CITOs are experts in a domain of complexity. There's a huge amount of information that is not being analyzed.
Dan, thank you very much for your time, and most importantly, thank you for receiving us here in your office.
Happy to host you.
You spend a lot of time with CIOs, and often when you think about CIOs and analytics, there's two camps. There's the CIOs that understand the role of analytics and are willing to spend the time, energy, and money to go there, and some others that are hesitant, and they're wondering if they should let the business lead the analytics discussion. What's your point of view on that?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, I think it's time for a change in the way CIOs and CTOs do their work. I usually think of CIO as the person who manages the portfolio of the technology, and the CTO is the person who builds the solutions. And in both of those roles, I think everybody in technology really plays both of those roles. So I prefer the term CITO. And so I'll just talk about CIOs and CTOs as CITOs today. The way I think of a CITO's career is as evolving. You know, at the beginning of a CITO's career, you're a programmer or somebody who's very technical, and you get rewarded by saying yes. And so you say, yes, I can do that, yes, I can build that, yes, I can make the team work, yes, I can deliver what you want. But as you grow in your career, it's no longer about saying yes. It's about becoming part of the conversation about what should be done. And the answer isn't always yes. Sometimes the answer is no, or the answer should be something different. Any CITO, as they grow, they have to learn that they need to learn the business in order to join the conversation. CITOs are experts in a domain of complexity that the business side will never, ever join. So it's important for CITOs to understand that complexity, but then to bring offers to the business side about what could be done. And so then the business side can then evaluate whether that's worth doing, and then you can do an ROI analysis. Like an excellent way of doing this is to collect all the questions that the business wants answered, and then to see if you can use the business intelligence assets you have and other assets to answer those questions.
And so what you're saying is that for the CIO, it's almost recommended that they go beyond what they're working on, beyond the IT question, and trying to understand the business, using analytics and business intelligence as great examples.
I think analytics and business intelligence are the low-hanging fruit when it comes to a CIO who is evolved and starts to think in these terms. When you start to think about how you can help the business, the fastest way you can help the business is by answering questions. Now, usually in every business that I've seen, there's a huge amount of information that is not being analyzed. And I think that there's a new field that I've learned about from a CTO called Dale Skeen. He's the CTO of Vitria Technologies. He introduced me to the concept of operational intelligence.
Tell us more about that.
Well, operational intelligence basically is based on the idea that you need to find a way to improve the visibility of the enterprise and understand more and more about what's happening, but not just what's happening in the past, what's happening right now. The second thing is you want to be able to gain insight into what's happening using new sources of data, new technologies, and then you want to be able to take effective action. Now, this is a little bit different than what business intelligence is about. Business intelligence is very similar to this, but business intelligence is more about looking at the combined repository of information that you have and making sense of it and then analyzing it. So I think of business intelligence as more like a library or a newspaper. But operational intelligence is more like a video game where you're actually there on the playing field trying to understand what's going on, trying to get systems to help you understand what's going on, and then to take effective action.
And so if you think about the analogy of a video game, or even for that matter, I know you're a soccer fan, a soccer game or a sports game, there seems to be two things here, as real-time information, and of course the simplicity of information you need to provide to the user or to whomever is using the information in order to be able to act on it. Do you have some thoughts on that, or how you would solve those two problems?
I think that it's really interesting to approach this question because if you think about the data center and you look at what's inside the data center, there's all sorts of data that I call that's called machine data. Now, the machine data is coming off of web server logs, it's coming off of network equipment, it's coming off of telecommunications equipment, and it's different than the data that is in the business intelligence systems, which is mostly what they call data at rest. The streaming data, the machine data, is data in motion. And so the there's a huge opportunity to analyze this data and understand things that are happening right when they're happening and be able to take action. And here's a very simple example. I've been working on a paper about operational intelligence, and this is an example in it. There's a logistics company that delivers packages, and they found that there would occasionally be, more often than they wanted, a larger pile of packages in front of a plane than the plane could handle. And they realized they had all the information available to understand that way earlier, but they never understood it until the last minute, till the pile of packages got too high. So what they realized they needed to do was put in an operational intelligence system that monitored the stream of orders, kept a model of the capacity of all of the planes, and then allowed them to understand way earlier that there was going to be a problem, that there was a mismatch, and then they could take action, and then they wouldn't have empty planes or inefficiently planned routes. And it's that ability to see what's going on in time to take action. I mean, in any business problem, there's the time to detect a problem. There's the time to analyze the problem. There's the time to then decide on what to do, and there's the time to act. Operational intelligence is all about squeezing those dimensions of time so you can go faster.
When you think about it, I want to drill in a little bit more into the logistic example, because sometimes you seem to want to wait until a person can make a decision. Are you suggesting that a big part of the analysis can actually be automated up to a certain point?
That's a big difference between operational intelligence and business intelligence, and that is that operational intelligence doesn't stop with the information. If you think of any of the large systems we have, for onboarding somebody into a cell phone system, there's 10 or 20 systems there. And there's really no one system that's monitoring the process as the user goes through that system. What an operational intelligence system does is it sits on top of it, it monitors all the events that are happening. If an exception occurs, then it does something a little bit different than business intelligence. You can then apply a rule book to that set of events, and then you can invoke automated action if it applies, or you can accelerate manual action if it doesn't. So operational intelligence is about closing the loop. It's about creating a richer model of the enterprise using machine data. It's about taking that model, analyzing it automatically, and there's a variety of technology that comes to bear there. There's a technology called Splunk that's used for analyzing machine data in the data center. It originally was a break-fix tool. Now it's becoming a tool for getting business insights. There's also stuff like complex event processing that manages and looks at hundreds of streams of data and finds patterns. And then at the other end, there's business process management and rule systems that help you take effective action.
You've talked about the logistics example. Is there other industries that would be prime for this type of technology or type of concept?
The hard part of this is something that only a CIO and CTO can do, and that is looking at this raw time series data. When you look at a web server's log, do you see a business insight there? No. What you see is URLs and IP addresses and machine names and times and stuff. But if you use the technology that's available, you can then reach into that data and start to see, oh wait, that URL is actually somebody putting a product in a shopping cart. Wait, if I take that product code and I look up, I can make that now usable so that, oh wait, somebody's putting in, a soccer jersey, in a shopping cart. Oh, and then later we see that they're putting also in a guide to European soccer, so now if you use operational intelligence systems to analyze this data as the web traffic's going on and look at it on a dashboard, you can see pairings, for example, of products together. And then instead of waiting 3 weeks from now to see, oh, maybe we should be promoting these pairings, you can promote it that afternoon. And that's over and over and over again, it's the process of understanding what the machine data has to tell you and then relating it to business questions. But, the way innovation works in general is you want to start with a problem. And that's why I recommend that CIOs and CTOs go to the business, find out the questions that they can answer, that they want to answer, and then take those questions and then use techniques like business intelligence, like operational intelligence to answer those questions. And that's how a CITO becomes a star, is because they're answering questions that have business impact.
That's a great conclusion. Dan, thank you very much for your time.
My pleasure.
Until next time, I'm Bruno Ziza.